All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going deep on the Marooners, a band that seems to have just exploded out of nowhere.
It really is remarkable how fast they've gotten big.
Yeah, and we've got lyrics, we've got background on all the members, even a glimpse into their pretty wild origin story. And I think it all comes back to this question. What makes the Marooners so fascinating? Especially with music that honestly kind of rubs some people the wrong way.
You're right, they definitely have a way of getting under people's skin even while they're climbing the charts.
Okay, so first things first, who are these guys? We've got to start with John Cotton Brown, the lead singer. Now, remember that album from a while back, Dust and Barbed Wire? Pretty much classic bluegrass.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
Well,
one.
that's him. And it's like he took that bluegrass sound and threw it in a blender with, I don't know, a little country, some rap beats, you name it.
It's wild, isn't it? Like, they're not afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, to mix it all up.
Yeah, it's definitely not your grandpa's bluegrass.
Hmm.
And they've got this whole collective of musicians around them, Marshall Danver, Larry Nellardime, and a few others. They all play multiple instruments, produce, mix.
It's like this self-contained musical ecosystem, all revolving around Cotton Brown. And, of course, their enigmatic manager, Moser.
Oh yeah, we can't forget Moser. Turns out the whole band's origin story hinges on him and a certain, let's just say a controversial drawing.
This is where things get interesting.
So we got this drawing by somebody Moon Gennaro, and it was pretty explicit. And it featured Moser in a way he definitely didn't intend to be seen.
It was Cotton Brown who found it, actually. And
Hmm.
Moser's reaction was, well, intense is putting it mildly.
Yeah, he went through a really rough time. Paranoia, depression, even tried to, well, let's just say it was a dark period.
Definitely a band origin story, unlike any other.
So Cotton Brown helps him through it all, and somewhere in the middle of that chaos, the Marooners are born.
It's almost like they channeled all that trauma into their music, especially the lyrics, most of which are written by Moser.
And that leads us to one of their big themes, this whole red versus blue thing that pops up in pretty much every song. I mean, right from the first line of their debut track, "Them blues on our road," there's some tension brewing.
Yeah, you can hear it in the music, too. That driving banjo mixed with the distorted electric guitar, it creates this uneasy feeling that totally matches the lyrics about hating blue stickmen. But what do these colors even represent?
Well, it seems like red symbolizes tradition, the old ways of doing things.
Right.
Blue is more like change, progress, often in a way that the red stickmen see as, well, threatening.
Right, like they're disrupting the established order. It's like they're tapping into this anxiety that a lot of people are feeling these days, being caught between the past and the present, unsure of which way to go.
And that tension is all over their music. Like in Heartland Struggles, you can practically hear the clash between these two forces. The red stickmen with their, I think it was Future Burning Bright, and the blues putting up a fight. Pretty vivid imagery.
It's like a musical battleground. But then you get songs like I'm a Red Stick Man, which is way more introspective, almost a lament for a simpler time, before the blues came along and shook things up.
Yeah, it's like he's longing for something that's been lost, a sense of belonging that's fading away. Pretty powerful stuff.
And I think that's what resonates with their fans, that feeling of being an outsider, of not quite fitting in.
Which is interesting because some of their other songs, like The Folly of Blue and Get Out of Our Hood, are a lot more confrontational. Especially that one with the Kali Crimson Boys. Things get pretty intense.
Oh yeah, that one definitely pushes the boundaries. Are they just expressing a particular point of view, or are they playing with stereotypes in a way that could be harmful? It's a fine line, and I think it's up to each listener to decide where they stand.
It's tricky, isn't it? So we've got this band, born from a strange incident, fueled by this red versus blue tension, and blending genres like nobody's business. It's no wonder people are talking.
It's like they're holding up a mirror to society, reflecting all the anxieties and divisions we're seeing right now.
So why are they resonating so strongly with people? Is it the sound?
Yeah.
The message? Or something else entirely? Let's dive a little deeper, shall we?
Yeah, it really is a fascinating mix. On one hand, you have these incredibly talented musicians blending genres in a way that's unexpected, but you just can't deny how catchy it is. But then you've got these lyrics. They're raw, often angry, sometimes even a little unsettling.
It's like they're not shying away from anything. Like they're just putting it all out there, even the stuff that makes people uncomfortable.
Right, exactly. And it makes you wonder, are they doing this on purpose? Are they trying to make some grand statement about society? Or are they just expressing their own frustrations?
Maybe it's a little bit of both. But one thing's for sure, they've definitely got people talking. And in today's world, that's pretty powerful. Whether you love them or hate them, you can't ignore them.
No, you definitely can't. And that's a success in itself, right? They've tapped into something, this feeling that things are changing and not everyone's happy about it.
Yeah. And their music gives a voice to that, to the people who feel like they're being left behind.
It's like cathartic almost. Like they're saying it's okay to be angry, it's okay to feel lost. And for some people, that really hits home.
Definitely. And it's important to remember, art can do that. Art can be a way to process those complex emotions, to challenge the way we think, to have those tough conversations that we might not otherwise have.
Absolutely. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're dealing with, with identity, with rivalry, like the Marooners do, there's always a chance that those messages could be, well, misused.
Yeah, that's the risk you take. It's about being mindful, engaging with the music thoughtfully, analyzing the lyrics. It's not about censorship, it's about understanding. So how do we, as listeners, approach a band like this? Do we just enjoy the music and ignore the potentially problematic stuff? Do we separate the art from the artist? It's a tough question.
There are no easy answers, are there? I think it's about engaging on multiple levels. Appreciate the music, the talent. Analyze those lyrics, think about the context, and be mindful of the potential impact. It's about being informed, not just passive.
And it's about being open to different perspectives, even the ones that make us uncomfortable. Which brings us back to that central question. Who are the Marooners? Are they geniuses making a statement? Are they a symptom of, I don't know, societal anxieties? Or are they just a band having fun?
It's a puzzle, isn't it? With some pieces missing. Maybe they're all of those things, maybe they're none of them. Maybe they just stumble onto this sound and they're going with it.
One thing is for sure, they've started a conversation, and
Yep.
that's valuable.
It is. And as they evolve, it'll be interesting to see how their sound, their message changes.
Speaking of evolution, let's go back to John Cotton Brown's solo stuff for a minute. Dust and Barbed Wire, totally different vibe. Traditional bluegrass, very introspective, melancholic.
Yeah, it's almost like a different person. But if you listen closely, you can hear some of those same themes. Struggle, isolation, longing for, well, something that's gone.
It's like those emotions are still there in the Marooners' music, but they're just amplified, turned up to 11.
It really makes you wonder what Cotton Brown thinks about it all. Is he on board with this new direction, or is there a part of him that misses that simpler sound?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
we're not just listening to music, we're getting a glimpse into these people's lives, trying to understand them. That's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
It's the human story behind the music. And it reminds us that art doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It's a product of the artist, of the world.
And we as listeners, we have a responsibility to engage with it, to think critically, to be aware of its impact.
Because art can bring us together, it can challenge us, it can help us make sense of this crazy world we live in.
Well said. And the Marooners, whether you love them or hate them, they're doing all of that. They're making us think, making us debate.
Yeah. And that's something we could all use a little more of.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What do you think is the most important takeaway from the Marooners story so far?
Is it the way they just came out of nowhere with that, that crazy story and those lyrics? Is it the music itself, the way they blend all those styles? Or is it something, I don't know, deeper? Something about the way their music, well, reflects what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, like they've tapped into something that a lot of people are feeling.
Right, exactly. And for me, I think it's their boldness. The fact that they're not afraid to be different, to challenge things. They're not, playing it safe, trying to please everybody. And that's kind of refreshing, especially these days when everything feels so, I don't know, so samey.
It's like they're giving us permission to be a little uncomfortable, to ask those questions, to embrace the chaos.
Yeah. Art doesn't always have to be, pretty. Sometimes it needs to shake things up, make us think.
And sometimes that discomfort, that's where the growth happens.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Marooners, I want to leave you with this. Where do you stand on them?
Yeah, what do you think? Are they geniuses? Are they a reflection of, well, of all the anxieties we're facing right now?
Or are they just, I don't know, a bunch of musicians having a good time, seeing what happens?
We've talked about their origins, their music, their message, the impact they're having. Now it's up to you to decide what it all means.
Because the meaning we find in art, well, it's personal. It's about our own experiences, our own values.
So keep listening, keep thinking about the lyrics, keep having those conversations.
And keep questioning things. Don't be afraid to form your own opinions.
Yeah, in a world where everyone's trying to tell you what to think,
Yeah.
that's more important than ever.
And who knows? Maybe the Marooners, with all their contradictions, maybe they can help you do just that.
That's it for our deep dive on the Marooners. We've just scratched the surface, but hopefully we've given you enough to spark your own curiosity.
This is a band that's definitely worth paying attention to. They're unpredictable, they're provocative, and they're not going away anytime soon.
So keep listening, keep those minds engaged, and be ready for whatever they throw at us next. It's bound to be interesting.